In this video, I set out to build the most efficient and budget-friendly wood heater online. Will I succeed, or will I burn my shop to the ground? Let's find out. This is gonna be hella sketchy.
Idiot.
That's monstrous amounts of heat. If you clicked on this video, I assume you're like me and you're tired of throwing your money down the drain trying to inefficiently heat your garage or warehouse space. So I went up and down, in and out with every single option I could think of to this point to try to heat my 2,100 square foot building for the least amount of money that I can. I've tried diesel and kerosene torpedo heaters. I've tried electric and propane radiant heaters, and I've tried a regular natural gas heater. For me, all of those options ended up being way too much money for me to maintain and heat this garage consistently. So in the end, I set out to design and build the most efficient, budget-friendly wood heater slash stove on the internet. Stay tuned and follow me to see if I succeed. So I've actually had wood heaters in the past, and they're really kind of inefficient. So what I actually did was take design features from a traditional natural gas heater that hangs from the ceiling, where the tubes are going up and the flame actually goes up inside the tube and the heat goes up inside the tube. So it's kind of a mixture of that. And if you've seen a heat reclaimer where they put the tubes on and they put it on the exhaust port, I pretty much designed and built a big heat reclaimer. I got everything designed in CAD and sent it over to a buddy of mine that has a plasma table, and he cut and prepped all the plates for me. But if for some reason I didn't have that option, I could have just cut everything with a cutoff wheel. Would have took a lot more time, but I could have did that. So first things first, I want to get all this off the truck, lay it out on the table, and see what we got. So I left the main plates of the body on the truck, but for right now, I got the main components that I wanted to see. This one's gonna be the front door. This one's the back where the fan attaches. And then this right here, there's two of these. This is the inside where the 2x2 tubes go. So what I did in my design is I left a 1/16 of an inch gap all the way around, and I know plasma cutters sometimes burn a little wider, and this just ended up being perfect. So the first thing that I have to actually weld together is this section here with the tubes, the top and the bottom. So I've got this design with actually 2-foot sections of 2x4 box tubing. Now what I'm gonna do is start cutting those 2-foot sections. I need 12 of them, and then we'll come back, I'll get all this laid out, and we'll start welding it up. Now I have to measure out and cut 12 pieces of 2x4. I don't know what you guys use to cut, but I've been using this Evolution chop saw for a good 3 years. And this thing is a beast. I'm not sponsored by them by any means. I paid for this out of my pocket. I used to have a big horizontal bandsaw that was like 5,000 bucks, and I actually replaced it with this. This is all I use now. This thing cuts through everything. And I actually bought the one with the stand. So if you're interested in this, I'll search it out on Amazon and leave a link to this specific one that I have here. I think it was around $200-300. Let's get to cutting. Boom, cuts like butter every time. Nice and square too. Love this saw. Okay, so I got my 12 pieces of 2x4 stock here cut, and what I've done is I've laid out the top plate and the bottom plate where all the 2x4s go inside of. So if you're wondering, I actually went with 1/8 inch plate on this one. One of the reasons is for cost. An 1/8 inch plate was only like $100. I was gonna go with 1/4 inch plate, but I wasn't sure if this design's gonna work, and I didn't wanna waste that much money on a 1/4 inch plate. And this 1/8 inch plate is pretty easy to move around. 1/4 inch would have been a lot more work moving it around, a lot more weight to move it around. But I think 1/8 inch should be good. I'm gonna line it with brick, and I've seen people making barrel heaters, and that's like 16 gauge, and this is actually 11 gauge, so this is way thicker than that, and those barrel heaters last for years, so should be good to go. I got the tubes in place. Some of them are welded out, some of them are tacked up. Check it out. So I dropped them all in there. I welded one side here, flat on a table, flipped it over, welded the other plate on there so that they would be even. It's been a while since I fabricated, and like a complete idiot, and I welded the top plate all the way around at one shot. It warped the top plate like crazy. So I don't know if you can make it out on camera. See how it warped? It's pretty easy to manipulate though. I can move this around pretty easy. So I don't think it's gonna be that big of a deal. What I've done to combat that on the bottom is I just ran some welds on one side here and there, spacing it out, letting it cool. I'm still getting a little bit of warping, and I just tacked in the rest of the tubes. So what I'm gonna do now is build the bottom and the top box and attach those and weld those on before I weld the rest of the tubes out. So hopefully that'll keep that plate from warping around on me. But you really get a good visual of how it's gonna look now. And if you can imagine, these are the tubes, and I'm gonna have a box right here. This is where all the smoke goes, and the smoke's gonna go up to this top box, and it's gonna come out the top, right out the side into the tube. And the firebox is gonna be down here. So this will be where you load your wood. And then what I'm gonna do is take plates and just tack some plates on the side here, the back there, to hold the heat in and blow through with the blower through the center. So for the door, what I picked up was this huge roller mill door online. I got this off Facebook Marketplace for 15 bucks. This thing is awesome. It's really heavy duty. You can see the underside has a gasket in it already. It's got a big 1-inch gasket. That's a big heavy duty door. So what I have to do is, where the opening is on this plate, I pretty much have to make a frame that stands up like this to where this door will seal on that plate, and it'll kind of lift it up and give it that space between here and the hinges. And then I also have to make some hinges for it to go on. So to do this, I bought a bunch of 2-inch tall flat bar, and I'm gonna take that flat bar and just make a frame for it to seal to, and then just weld it on the door, put the door down flat, put this on there, and then start fabricating around it. On this door also, what I have to do is build a latch. So what I plan on doing is getting some all thread and just kind of making a handle that will screw down on there and screw this down tight, and then you could pull it in and out of the way. So let's get to building that framework for that. So here's the plan for the gasket on the door. I got this radius finder right here, and what I did was I just stuck it up on here and got the radius right here. And I've got these 2 pieces of round stock. They're just slugs I had laying around. And this one fits the contour pretty good of that. What I'm gonna do is tack this to the table and then move this closer also and tack this in. And I'm gonna take this flat plate, stick it in there, and use it to kind of bend it around there. And then just kind of bend it around and get this radius. I'll probably do half and half and then weld them together in the middle. Okay, let's see if that works. What I'm gonna do is lay this out here, maybe to there, and then mark where I think I need it to curve. So I just marked where it should actually be bent and where it should start. Stick the start in there, see what we get. Ugh. So I'm pretty much gonna bend it until I see these come together. So let's see, does that fit the radius? Oh yeah, that's great. That fits that radius perfect. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm marking where I think the bend should start, and then I'm marking where the middle is, and I'm just putting that where the bend should start, right where it starts to bend around there. And then I'm pulling it around. So let's see if that works when I get both sides there. Oh yeah, there we go. I'd say that's good. Stretch it out just a little bit. Okay, so you can see that's pretty much right on the money. I just hand form that. What I'll do is cut another strip, hand form that side, and then cut them to match and weld them together. So there it goes. That's the door gasket. And you can see how this is going to mount to the front, and this will seal up to it. Came out pretty good all the way around. What I did was I actually followed the inside of the groove, because this gasket material that's in here right now is smashed down from probably years of use, so I have to dig that out of there and get some more. This is 1 inch wide gasket material. So I just kind of try to follow the inside of that groove more than I did the actual gasket, because like I said, the gasket's smashed down. But that's it. That came out pretty good. It was easier than I thought it was going to be. So next thing to do is flip this upside down, put it on a front face plate around that hole, get it welded in place, and start working on how I'm going to make the hinges for this and where they're going to mount and sit. So there's a ceiling surface mounted. This is the front plate to where the wood goes in, and you can see how flat it is there. It actually is helping to stabilize this piece of metal here. So now what I have to do is get the door sitting on here where I want it, perfectly square. So next thing I need to do is work on my hinges and how I'm gonna bolt the door down when I close it. Here's the plan for my hinges. I went through my stock. I found these gigantic bolts right here that I'll probably never use for anything. And they're almost the right height, just laying them down like that. So what I'll probably do is stick them in the lathe, turn these down to fit that, so that this thing will just go right down on there. And probably weld a little piece of stock under there to hold those up. There it is, the hinges are made and the door's done. I set it down here on the floor and leaned it up just so I could see how it would sit on these hinges with the weight on it. Those worked out great. So I just took some 1/2 inch stock, welded it under there, welded it to that, and another piece of 1/2 inch stock to make up the gap there, and welded all that together. So it just sits on there, boom, and the weight of it is so heavy that it just sits right where it's supposed to be. You can see here, it opens up good. That's an awesome door. So another way to do this is to use a door kit. And I actually purchased a door kit before I found this door. It's awesome door. And I can't remember how much it was. It was really inexpensive. But this is it right here. Doing a door kit like this is so much easier than the way I went, because it has a frame there. And you just go around and bolt this, and all you have to do is cut out the inside. And then you just bolt this to the steel. It even has the airflow adjustment on the bottom and a clean out. The reason I didn't go with this one in the end is because it just wasn't wide enough right here for what I wanted, because I want to put pretty big logs in mine. And later on, I also want to convert it to waste oil. So I want to be able to get a big waste oil tube inside of there. But like I said, this is the easier way to go. These come with gaskets and everything. This is really inexpensive. This is a really nice door, man. Ready to go. So I purchased this one if you guys are interested on Amazon, and I'll leave a link in the description below. I'm not affiliated. I don't make money off it or anything, but this is just a really nice door and an easier way to go. Like I said, you would just bolt this in and cut the holes out and be done with it, as opposed to what I'm doing. But you can see how much bigger the door is also on mine. So the next step is to figure out how to make the bolt for the door to latch it. Here's what I came up with for the locking mechanism. Boom, just had 2 pieces of round stock laying around, a nut, a washer, and another nut or another bolt there. And I had some nuts that were bigger than the bolt down here. And I just welded those there into a T, made this handle, and still hot. Works great. So it's held captive by this bolt here. Swings up, lock it in. Lock it down, boom, it's really all you need. I'd say that's pretty much it for the door. The hinges came out cool. The door looks cool on there. Now I'm gonna move on to making the firebox on the bottom. Then after I get the firebox tacked up, I'm actually gonna lay this on its side, slide it over, and start stitch welding it to this middle part. And then after that's done, I can come back through and start welding out these tubes just for warpage. Because you can see I just tacked these in and I was already getting warpage on here because it's 1/8" plate. So I'm gonna get that box put together. I got the bottom firebox done and welded to the tubes. Check it out. So now it's starting to look like a heater. You have to excuse the noise from the torpedo heater. That's all I got right now. Got it all welded out. What I've also done is cut this hole right here. And when I was at the metal supply, I got a cutoff of 3x3 box tubing. And what I'm gonna do is stick that in there for my fresh air intake. So I got these nuts and bolts here. And what I'm gonna do is take this bolt and weld it to a piece of flat plate. And then I'll take that flat plate and kind of round it in my lathe. And then I'll take the nut and I'm gonna weld it a strap to each side of the nut and weld it in there and kind of suspend it in there and then twist this down. So this will be like a baffle. And then I can twist it out and twist it in so I can adjust the flow of air going in and out of here. Let's get that welded up. I got a piece of scrap here that I had. Kind of roughly cut this hexagon shape, mark the center before I cut it. And what I'm gonna do is take this bolt, weld it right in the middle like that, take it over to the lathe and get it round. And then that'll be my stop for this. And I may weld on the other side of here, maybe a little handle or something so I can twist it in and twist it out. There we go, that'll work. Just knock it down round and flat. And then once I weld the nut inside of here, this will go in here and that's how we'll block the air. So I can adjust the air by twisting it out and it'll open more or closing it all the way up. Now the plan is to take this nut and weld a piece of strap on either side so that it sits down inside of there like that. And then I'll weld the strap to this and we'll have our adjustable air intake. There it is. So you can see the more I open it, the more airflow I'm gonna get. I'm gonna go all the way open like that. Then I can close it back up this way. So the reason I decided to go with this style instead of just putting some holes and putting a slot, I was afraid that sometimes when the fire pops and crackles, some of the coals might fly out the holes onto the ground. And this way it has this to stop it. So if they do come, they'll hit this and at least drop straight down instead of going straight out. So there's that finished. So now when I close it up, boom, nothing will get out. Totally closed. Which I'll never probably close it all the way like that. I'll probably always leave it gapped like that. But you can see it's a real fine adjustment now. So at this point, what's left is I need to make the top box that goes up there and get that mounted, which is going to be the same process as the bottom. Won't bore you with that. Then I need to at least get the back plate where the fan mounts right here. I need to get that mounted between the top box and the bottom box, and it'll blow right through those tubes. And then I also want to put some feet underneath it, maybe like a foot or 2 foot, just to get it off the ground just a little bit. Let me get all that done, I'll bring you back. I got the top box assembled, tacked on, and I also made these little 6-inch feet out of 2x4 steel, just to raise it up off the ground a little bit so I don't have to kneel down so far to put wood into it. And then I also tacked up the back plate where the fan's gonna go. So I just put 3 big tacks on here, and then when I put those side plates on, I'm gonna do the same thing, just put 3 tacks. But I'm just gonna tack these plates on here because they're just holding the air in this box right here and holding this fan on. And the fan that I got has brackets that kind of go up here, so I'll kind of tack weld those brackets on. But it's really looking like a heater now. Next thing to do is I'm gonna turn it sideways and try to slide it off the table and stand it up. Let's see how that goes. This is gonna be hella sketchy. Good thing I got gravel in here, because if I didn't, that could have went way different coming off of there. You see how it tilted back? It would have just kept going back. But the little foot dug into the rock instead, and it kind of balanced itself. But here it is. Actually looks like a heater. I'm to the point now where I need to make the gasket ring on top where the exhaust port will mount to. So it's 5 7/8 here. This is a little over 6 inches, so I'll be welding a gap. But what I plan on doing is, again, taking this strap, this 1/8 inch strap. It's 2 inches tall. That should be plenty. And I have a piece of scrap there that'll work. What I plan on doing is rough cutting a piece that's about 6 inches around. And I'll do the same thing where I weld a bolt to the center, and then I'll stick it in the lathe, and I'll machine it down until it's 5 7/8 exactly. And then I'm gonna bring that over here and tack that to the table and use that to bend around that strap, and then cut it and tack it together, and then weld it up in there. I got the ring done for the exhaust. Fits like a glove. Came out pretty good. And then I also installed this cross brace right here, and I made a little hook so that I can try to lift it. Hopefully with that support across there, it won't bow that top piece out. I'm gonna lift it slow, see what happens, try to get it back probably right there. There it is in its new home. I got the exhaust all hooked up. It's kind of temporary. I have it all screwed together, but I need to go do tape on it and everything, but I want to make sure everything's gonna work first before I go tape everything up and totally secure it. Got my flue adjustment up there, and I have this exhaust fan right here. So when I flip this on, it helps suck all the smoke out before the pipe gets hot and starts sucking the air out. I haven't figured out how to wire this fan up yet. This motor right here has like 8 wires on it, and there's a diagram on there, so I gotta go through and read that. So I probably won't have a fan on right now, but I do want to do my first kind of test fire of this thing. I'm gonna line the bottom with fire bricks. I just went to Menards and bought these fire bricks right here. They're 1.5 inches tall. You get a pack of 6 of them for like 17 bucks. So I'm just gonna go through and line the bottom of this for now. And then I'm gonna test fire it and let it smoke off all the oils and chemicals and stuff that are on it from, you know, the building process and the cutting process. So let me get those bricks lined in there, then we'll get some stuff in there and do the first start. So this is it. I'm about to start the first fire. How exciting to actually start a fire in a heater that I designed and built from scratch. I've never done that before. It's gonna be crazy. Hopefully it works. Hopefully I've got enough of a draft. If not, I've got this fan going here. This is sucking some air through there, so hopefully I get enough draft. Hopefully that angle is high enough there for it to go up. I'm not gonna build a rager. I'm just gonna build a small fire in there, just kind of burn off everything that's on the outside of it and just see how it goes. I got the bottom of it lined with that fire brick right there. I kind of underestimated how much I needed, but it did cover the whole bottom. I'll probably get some more later for the sides. So I got some cardboard in there, some paper on the bottom. I split some wood, just kind of stacked it like a hashtag. And I actually poured a little bit of diesel on the wood after I split it, let it soak for a second to kind of give me a little boost. So let's light this thing and see what happens. So I got the vent wide open right here as far as it'll go. Now you can see what I was saying. If I would have made the one that kind of slides open like that, I would be scared that stuff would come out, you know. I don't have anything coming out of here yet. So that tells me that, well, there it goes. But it does tell me my old stove that I had purchased, it just came out of there immediately. So let's close that up. So that tells me it does have a decent draft, because the old stove that I had over here that I had purchased, as soon as I lit that thing, it was coming right out in my face. So that means I do have a decent draft, I hope. And the pipe's not warmed up or anything yet. I'm just using that fan up there, so there's no smoke coming out. Let's see if it's burning. Oh yeah, look at that. Rolling. Now there is some smoke coming out, but it's rolling. Cool. So I'm just gonna let it sit for a minute, kind of get built up, see if I can get some coals in there, start throwing some wood in there, and see if I can get a fire. What an awesome feeling to actually use something that I designed and built. And it's functional. Hopefully it will keep me warm in here all winter. So I've done my official first test run of the heater. It's working great. I do think that I have to mess with my stack, because going sideways like that, trying to go up, it is kind of smoky, even with the fan thing on. And I kind of knew that. That's why I said earlier I didn't want to bolt everything together and tape it all up right now, because I think I have to, you know, go up at an angle like up into there, and I just didn't want to redo my pipe where it was at the time. So I am gonna redo it so it goes at an angle up to there so I get more draft. But I did, since this is such a big heater, I did have to add another vent hole right here and on this side. So I just quickly kind of made a cover for that one. I'll go through and make it real nice, and it really bumped the heat up in this thing. So you can see I got a real small fire in here right now, nothing major. Nice blue flames, nice fire. Like I said, there's a little bit of smoke, you know, when I open the door. You can see it kind of going up there, and that's just from my vents, so I have to work on that. So this is a really small, there's what a couple little half a logs in there. And let's see where the heat's at. And it's super, super hot. Let's see. So right here on the face, we're looking at like 372. And then back here where the tubes are, looking at 460. The tubes themselves down there are actually 440, 450, and that's the actual tube. They get a little cooler as you come to the front here because the fire, you know, is back here. I got it back in the back. I don't have it raging or anything. So I get 450 even over here on the side, 460. That's monstrous amounts of heat. That's 2 or 3 times more efficient than the one that I purchased that I had over in the corner. That thing was nothing like this. This thing, once I get the blower hooked up, there's no doubt it's gonna heat this thing like crazy. Like I said, I still have to tweak with it a little bit and you know, get my exhaust right and stuff like that, but you just gotta do that anyway anytime you mess with a new heater. But I'd call that super efficient. What do you guys think? I'm super happy with the build and the way it turned out. I couldn't ask for a better outcome. This is freaking awesome. There's a little overview of the heater again. Outside temps are 326. Up there's 180 where the exhaust is going out. Down there is 430, 440 where the fire is. And like I said, the main thing are these tubes. And when I turn that fan on, it starts blowing this out. 460 right there. That's just crazy. Like, so it's going to blow across those tubes, and those tubes are sitting at, you know, 400 degrees. So that about wraps up this build. I really appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate all the likes and follows and comments. Keep it going. It's keeping me motivated, keeping the channel going, and I'll see you on the next one.